I would like to invite all of you to think about what leadership means to you. While there are multiple definitions, it is usually associated with power or the ability for people to have titles or positions of authority that have control or management. It is also related with influence or the ability to coerce or manipulate others to get to do something in exchange of rewards. But this, unfortunately, leads to some division, some kind of hierarchy where the leader is at the top and the followers at the bottom. And what happens here is that it creates a divide. Now let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if you like to be told what to do. Yeah, that's what I thought. What happens here is that the so-called followers feel they just need to do whatever they are ordered to do and nothing else. And what happens is that that leads to the followers to have little commitment. They feel less responsible because they're just mere followers. They also have less initiative because they don't feel their ideas are welcome and their opinions are well received by the leader. And also, that creates a sense of lack of ownership because they don't have a skin in the game, so they can go the extra mile for the team. That, however, that version of leadership has to be revised and improved. In my own definition of leadership, I like to include two very important components. First one is motivation, the ability for anybody, anywhere, and at any time to invite different individuals with their own agendas to care about something and work together, joining efforts towards achieving that common goal. And support, understanding the diversity in the team and being there at every step along the way to encourage each other and assist everyone in the team to exploit their full potential and achieve the common goal. And that leads to a more inclusive formal leadership where everybody is a member of the team and everybody feels more part of something. Here, it leads to more innovation because everybody feels their ideas and opinions are welcome. So they feel more free to share those and have less fear to failure because they have a more inclusive environment for the team to work with. It also leads to more diverse skill sets where everybody feels that their own strengths are being applied towards achieving different goals for the team. Everybody giving their own strength to contributing to the joint success of the team. And finally, it has a stronger sense of belonging where everybody feels they have a say at the table and their opinions matter in order to move the team forward and have progress for the team. Here is very important when you wonder about inclusion. Why is it important today? We live in an interconnected world. That's not a secret. And global migration trends now are increasing more than ever. Why? We have different conflicts around the world, and there are different refugee crises taking place. So more global movement is taking place, and people are forced to inevitably integrate more into different societies. In addition, you have more, the pandemic opened up the door for more social integration, because now people can work remotely, and companies and teams are not limited to their own geographical location. Now, they can reach out to people from all corners of the world to have truly diverse and unique teams. And that leads to a more integration, to more inclusion, and more cultural diversity, where everybody has a higher say in the teams, and we can have truly cultural diverse teams in the workplace. The 21st century demands a more inclusive form of leadership to have better representation in multiculturalism. Personally, aspire to become a leader. I would like to aspiring to become a leader. I know that before I can be a very good leader, I needed to first understand the world and travel around the world so I can have the better qualities to bridge different cultures. And before we get to that, I would like to tell this story about this lovely Japanese gentleman that I met traveling in Japan. I was wandering around this big Buddha temple when, out of nowhere, he approached me and said, "Hi, how are you?" I replied, and then he established a conversation. I thought he just wanted to be nice, but then he seemed very interested in getting to know me, asking so many questions. When he knew that I was from Colombia, he started to speak to me in Spanish, in my own language, and he was very good. And that surprised me. So I asked him, how possibly you can speak Spanish so well? And his answer was more shocking to me, because he said, I am 80 years old, and every day I biked 45 kilometers one way to this temple, so I can have the chance to talk to foreigners, practice different languages, and learn from different cultures. Since I understood that there were no excuses for getting out of the comfort zone and trying to push ourselves to meet new people and understand different cultures. Becoming a leader, for me, aspiring to become a global entrepreneur, and also a leader for my country, Colombia, became more about becoming a very comprehensive human being, a human being above everything else. Why? Because that way you are in a better position to build bridges between peoples, cultures, and nations. Now, let's go back in time to 2012. And let me welcome you to my world. This is me in 2012. I only knew my hometown in Colombia. I never had the opportunity to travel overseas, and I barely had the chance to go to another city. Yet, if we move forward in time, 8 years later, you're gonna see that my world completely transformed. Suddenly, I've been fortunate to receive different scholarships and study in different universities around the world, and also do different internships globally. I worked a lot, different jobs as a waiter and bartender to save money and pay for my own tuition, to subsidize my own living expenses, and also to pay for my trips. I have hitchhiked in Europe, backpacked in Latin America, and I found tremendous hospitality everywhere I go, from friends and strangers. Being born and raised in Medellin, Colombia, gave me a strong entrepreneurial spirit. Then moving to my second home, Montreal, Canada, gave me a global citizenship sense that it was very strong in me. And more recently, coming to China to study and work expanded my vision about what is really possible with hard work and discipline. This is a picture that embraces my dreams. When I was in Canada studying, I thought that I always wanted to make a contribution to my country. Yet, I thought that I was a faraway dream, that maybe I would be able to make contributions when I am 40 or 50 years old and when I belong to an international organization. Yet, I was here at 21 years old, securing my first internship at the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, going to Quito, Ecuador, to work with refugees from different places, and embracing the United Nations mission of building bridges between nations and also fostering more collaboration and progress. These inspiring refugee women from Colombia, they were forced to leave the country because of conflict internally. So now imagine that. You're forced to leave everything that you know, your family, your friends, your belongings, absolutely everything. And now you're forced to start a new life from scratch in a new place. Despite all the adversity, they chose to unite, to uplift each other, and to build a more inclusive group. And they created a small enterprise, this clothing workshop, so they can work and have a better living standards by lending a hand to each other and building a better future for them in a foreign country. And I feel so fortunate to be there, giving a small contribution by facilitating social enterprise and financial literacy courses for refugees and asylum seekers just like them. By traveling to more than 60 countries, I came to understand that the differences in the world do not divide us. Instead, they give us a beautiful opportunity to build bridges and to work together to unify it and create a global community that builds more consensus. And this is something that happens beyond borders and beyond cultures. Now, I would like to share 3 key lessons with you. First one, openness. Letting aside all the prejudice and all the wrong preconceptions and ideas that we have, to forget about what the media tells us about what this society is supposed to be or about what that place is supposed to be about, because that's just part of the story. And you get to tell what story you want to build about the places that you really see for yourself. So being open to neutrally go and observe new places and learn from them, taking just the part that resonates with you the most. Second lesson, cultural sensitivity. Having the ability to understand, but more than that, to accept the differences in the world, promoting mutual respect, trust, tolerance, and kindness. And self-confidence. Because you're constantly humbled by all the challenges that you face by exposing yourself to the world. You start to develop more empathy that allows you to connect with people better. And you start to become more comfortable with yourself so you can bring better inputs to your team as a member and also as a leader. Because remember, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. Yet, in today's world, we unfortunately have a lot of division. And our world leaders create a culture in which they promote things like fear, something that divides us, creating mistrust, discrimination, hate, and violence. They also foster competition, a us versus them mentality that forces everybody to just seek their own interests despite of whatever happens to somebody else. And that creates polarization, rivalry, and war. And finally, intolerance, where they just have a lack of acceptance and understanding of the diversity in the world. If our world leaders, and also us as normal citizens, start to replace this for a better version of ourselves, we will be able to have more compassion, having empathy, to respectfully understand that there is differences in the world, and there is good in everyone, so we can work together towards building a better world. Having more collaboration, knowing that there is a way forward if we help each other move together and make progress. And finally, having a culture that is more acceptance, just understanding the differences in the world and knowing that every single human being on this planet have a remarkable story to share. And we can always teach something to someone and learn something from somebody else. Now, I would like to extend an invitation for you to first say yes to the world. And like the Japanese gentleman, get out of your comfort zone and go and force yourself to meet people from different cultures, to understand the world better, so you can leave your biases aside and really embrace the beautiful differences in the world. To build bridges, like the Colombian refugee women in Ecuador, decide and choose to unite, connect, and uplift people from all different walks of life. We're all leaders, so we can lead by our own example. And finally, embrace diversity. Cherish our differences and the benefits of multiculturalism as we move forward as a unique society. Finally, remember that we are all leaders and you need no permission to become a leader. Our mission and purpose is to unite the world by building more bridges around people from different societies and different cultures and backgrounds, so we can build a more inclusive world and a brighter shared future for humankind. Thank you.